All right, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a hump day. Excuse me. Hump day edition, morning scone, presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and HUDCO Roofing. HUDCOroofing.com. Hope your morning is off to a wonderful start. Hope you're having a great week. If you had Monday off, that's awesome. Hope your abbreviated week is going well. Hope everybody's starting to get power back, and we're all just onward and upward, man. Do me a favor, if you're on Facebook there, you know the drill. Like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post. If you are on YouTube, smash that like button. We appreciate you smashing the like button. Well, this is interesting. Did you see this? So Bradford, I didn't have this on the intro, but I just saw this. I guess this happened last night. Bradford has enrolled in classes at LSU, and he's rejoined the football team. Entered the transfer portal, went to Oklahoma, never played at Oklahoma. Now he's back at LSU, which obviously is a little short-handed now with John Emery having his issue, Armani Goodwin being injured. You're basically down to Ty Davis Price, Corey Kiner. So now Trey Bradford. See if he's going to play, though. Ed Ogeron will be on the SC Coaches Teleconference morning at 10 a.m. So ask him about that. And then we also saw, Ed Ogeron at his weekly teleconference yesterday announced several players are going to be out. He did mention Cam Wire and Austin Deculus. Smart, both were kind of bumped and bruised a little bit at UCLA. No point in playing them against McNeese. It gives you an opportunity to play Charles Turner and Xavier Hill. Garrett Dellinger could very well play this week. Did play last week, sort of as the jumbo package offensive lineman. Ollie Gay won't be available. John Trey Kirkland, Sony Fanu, Jay Ward, he says also day-to-day. Jared Small's out for the season. And Dwight McLaughlin didn't play, so against UCLA, so we'll keep an eye on him as well. So, all right, let's say some good mornings, see what y'all got. Meanwhile, Saints continue counting down to their season opener on Sunday. They cut Latavius Murray yesterday and did formally add Desmond Trufant at cornerback. So anyway, let's see what y'all got. Let's say some good mornings here, and we'll get rolling. Got to get Drew to St. Lillian this morning. Thank God they're finally back in school this morning. So got to get Drew to St. Lillian, and then I'm going to see Crystal Poche this morning over at Restored Motions. Thank God. And y'all know what it was like when I threw my back a couple weeks ago if y'all were here. So she got me up and moving again, and keep working through those issues. So. All right, Megan Hurst, good morning. Love the new podcast with T-Bobs. Thank you. So for those who aren't familiar, T-Bob and I are going to do a twice weekly podcast during football season. Yesterday, our podcast was basically debating the Ogeron era. So obviously, we have very different views on that. Boyer DeReese, good morning, man. Chef Boyer D. Steve Scott, good morning. Love you and T-Bob's podcast. Was dying laughing while trying to be quiet in my office at work. Clint Nauta, what's up, man? Sitting here with my whiskey coffee. Mine is just coffee, but we will, Clint, have whiskey tonight on our Nightcap with Scone show for Whiskey Wednesday. So y'all come back around 9 o'clock tonight. Chase Pellegrin, what's up? Kirk Taylor, Murray present, R.I.P. Mary, present. Somehow I think we'll still be able to work it in from time to time. Kirk, love the new podcast. The Open is hilarious. Who do you think wrote that? Jonathan Martin, good morning. Kirk, Rose's opinion on things can be fixed. Gives me a little hope. Yeah, me too, man. I'm not so sure I agree with him. But it is a little light at the end of the tunnel. Pat Houston, Clark Tiger Davis, Lowell Cormier, good one from Key West. There you go, man. If you're going to escape a storm, get down to Key West. Cameron, Michael, Brando, Matt. I said yesterday they were not limiting Mac's legs to keep safe. Do you believe that? Max just didn't look comfortable like he did last year when he escaped the pocket. What he said, Cameron, was they weren't running quarterback power, but they didn't tell him, don't run. So I believe that. I mean, I believe they were being smart and not calling design runs for the quarterback. But, if he needed to tuck it and run, he would. I mean, he got pounded all game. I mean, maybe it's just where I was sitting. I felt like I had a good view of that, but man, he was getting split in half all game. And with respect to him not maybe seeing me comfortable like last year, he played against Florida and Ole Miss, which were two of the worst defenses in the SEC last year. I mean, I'm not trying to be dismissive of the success he had, but Florida and Ole Miss were two of the worst defenses in the league last year. That's just hands down. And on Saturday, he played a defense that started 11 seniors. So it was just a giant step up in competition. So how's he going to fare against some of the better teams they play? Excuse me. So it's funny, man. There were a lot of people who were completely sold on Max Johnson being the starter. I'm telling you, man, it wasn't always locked in. What I was told after spring was that they had hoped in spring that Max would have taken the job, and he didn't do it. And the thing I said all summer was I think Miles Brennan was going to take the first snap against UCLA. Now his play would determine if he kept the job, but I thought Miles was ultimately going to take the first snap. So, and you saw some of the reasons why. James Tyrone, Nashville, Scone. Stephen Bro, thoughts on Latavius Murray being cut? They really like Tony Jones, and I'm good with that. Murray looked a step slow, man. He's always kind of been that. He's just a north and south runner. But, man, he looked. I mean, he's 32 years old, 31, 32 years old. I mean, it happens in the NFL at running back. You hit that threshold of 30, and a lot of guys just fall off the cliff. Kelly Presley, good morning. Bill Kimbrough, good morning. Michael Cook, good morning. Chris Domang, does the Pod with T have video? It does not, Chris, but a lot of people have asked about that. But I think we are going to start recording it for the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. So, let's see, Pat Houston, is it something that I always miss, or does it seem that when O is in press conferences, no one ever mentions the word consistency? I don't know. You mean asking him a question about consistency, or him not saying consistency? Oh. Derek Michael filled out the form on HUDCO, sent you an email. Good deal, Derek. I will happily facilitate that for you. So, hope all is well. Glenn Laurie, morning, Matt. Finally getting back to normalcy. Talked to Mike Detillier. His donkey made it safely through Hurricane Ida. Good to know. I think the animals did well. Kelly Gross, good morning. Hey, Garen Thomas, good morning. Finally made it back from Los Angeles. Game was traumatizing. I felt so stupid. They looked at us as dumb Southerners, and they beat us with the same type play over and over again. Shallow cross, proving we were dumb Southerners. You know what, man? So yesterday, and be prepared to hear this. Yesterday, I went back and I went and looked at my comments from the day they announced the Durante Jones hire. And the gist of what I said in the show open was, man, you're really taking a risk on a guy that hasn't been a defensive coordinator since 2009. Is it worth the risk? We'll see. Kind of getting your answer. That's what happens during the offseason, man. Fans hype themselves up to believe that every hire is going to be a home run, every recruit is going to be a 5-star All-American, every change you made, every scheme, it's all going to work. And then, you know, it doesn't always work. See, Kirk, one thing I wish people would ask, would you ask Roe or someone else, where's the RPO game? I don't think I think Ogeron's pulling a Miles. No, I don't. I think Jay Peets was calling a game for the first time in his career, and he didn't do a great job. I have Ryan Clark on today. I'll ask him. Charlie Cavell, Jeff McKithen, Michael Kennedy, Dylan Horn. Is there a disconnect between scouting and grading of offensive linemen? Or is it lack of development? Both. And that's a big reason why James Craig isn't here anymore. But I do think that'll get better with Brad Davis. Matt Godwin, good morning. Truax, what's up? Bubba Tatum, good morning. Cliff Nelson, good morning. Kenneth Martin, morning, Matt. Thought you destroyed Bob in the debate yesterday. I mean, how'd you think that was going to go? Trivia, good morning. Wipe your feet on the way in. Smash the like button. Matt, my wife demands satisfactory for your crimes against the West Florida Argos. So apparently, McNeese played the West Florida Argonauts this past weekend. And West Florida beat them in Lake Charles. And I said, I have no idea who West Florida is. I don't care. Like, whatever. Nobody cares about them. Apparently, Trivia's wife went to West Florida. And someone else told me they won the national championship like 2 years ago in Division II. So, pretty good team, I guess, in Division II. Spurge, good morning. Merritt Mathern, good morning. Alex Day, good morning. What do you think about Trey Bradford coming back? It certainly can't hurt. I am genuinely surprised that he's back. Considering the circumstances, why he left, where he went, etc. But yeah, I mean, you need. It's just pretty clear, right? We talked about it all offseason. Nobody emerged at running back. Like, you don't have a guy at running back. They wanted the two veteran guys to emerge. They didn't. One of your freshmen's hurt. They didn't trust the other guy on the road in a tight game against UCLA. So you basically got Ty Davis Price and a walk-on. I mean, yeah, depth is good. Jared Schuler, morning, Matt. What's the main thing you'd like to see from an improvement standpoint against McNeese, even though it's an inferior opponent? So, Jared, I'm going to make this point as we get closer to the game, but I do have things that I want to see. I think when you play an inferior opponent, the benefit is it's almost like playing against air. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to McNeese, but like when you're physically superior, they shouldn't be able to stop you from doing the things you want to do. You know what I mean? If you want to run zone concepts, you should be able to block it. If you want to If you want to run slow developing routes, your offensive line should hold up because you're better. So we'll get a better look at what they are trying to do, right? Like what exactly they're so here's the point, right? So when a play gets blown up, you don't know what was called. Like maybe Jake Peetz had dialed up a great play, but because they couldn't block it and Max Johnson has to run for his life and improvise, you don't know exactly what was called. Well, you get a much better idea of what they're trying to accomplish when you're playing McNeese. So I want to see so if I'm oversimplifying it, Jared, I just want to see the offense be more fluid. Kyle Mellick and Ole Miss's defense looks much improved. Go ahead and put that game in the L column. Hey, Kyle, stunningly, somebody told you all during the summer when he picked this team to go 9-3, now that included a win over UCLA, that LSU would lose to Bama, either Texas A&M or Florida, and Ole Miss. And that someone got crapped on by a lot of LSU fans for suggesting that they might dare to lose to Ole Miss. Y'all just keep coming back. Keep coming back. Hey, Janet, good morning. Chet Buxton, I knew Brennan would start the season. Didn't he average 400 yards last season? Remember, Chet, Brennan had his struggles last year. I mean, the season opening loss to Mississippi State, he was indecisive, held on the ball. John Emery really was the one that took over the Vanderbilt game in week 2, and then week 3 he threw for 400 yards against Missouri. But it was a lot of the same issues. It was a lot of stat compiling because you were in a high-scoring game and you had to throw the ball. They had some big plays, though. Brian Ashcraft, see you in Vegas with the lane train. Brad David, is there bad blood between you and Panamsky? Derek cut out Jordy from access to Ed. You would think Derek, being in media, would understand that people's job is to be critical of coaches. But Derek never understood that, Brad. Derek's the guy who would block people in the huddle if they ever said anything negative about him. Derek's the guy running Coach O's Twitter account that was blocking media members when I was blocked by Coach O early. I mean, it was, and that was Panamsky doing it. I mean, that's Derek. Derek's just a thin-skinned guy, and it's nothing personal against Derek. He's just a thin-skinned guy, and he's going to go to bat for Ed. And Ed is also a coach with rabbit ears. That's the bottom line. He knows what's said. He hears what is said, and he's aware of it. And I tell you the big difference though is that when Jordy was doing OTB and they had Ogeron on every week, the compromise is you're not going to be as critical. I mean, T-Bob and Hester face the same thing right now. They're going to put a it's not to say they're completely void of criticism, but they're going to put a positive spin on things. And that's the trade-off for that access in the minds of a guy like Ogeron anyway, and Panamsky. So that's all it is. And so now that, I'll tell you, Jordy wanted Ed to go on his show. They left Guarantee, and Guarantee is we have the flagship rights, and basically said if he's going to do an exclusive, it's going to be on our station. And so whenever Jordy was basically told, we can't put coaches on your show, really freed him up to be critical. So my point is I just don't give a crap who comes on my show. If I'm going to be critical, I am. That's what it is. Damon Hinderberger, Morning Matt, great podcast. T-Bob's F-bomb on Tom Herman set the tone for the debate. Boy, he was very emotional. Trivia, told you they won the Division II Natty. 2019 season was amazing in the Carter home. The Argos, huh? Merrick Mathern, how is Trey Bradford eligible? I don't know that he is, Merrick, because he can rejoin the team. I don't know that he's eligible. Because the one-time transfer rule is in place unless if, and I don't know this rule. Like, I don't know if this is the loophole maybe they have, which is, if he was able to leave because of COVID, maybe, and now this is his one-time transfer, I'm really not sure. or, I mean, he would have had to have enrolled at Oklahoma. So if he enrolled at Oklahoma, like by contrast, Eric Gilbert. Eric Gilbert, when he left LSU, committed to Florida, but never enrolled at Florida. Had he enrolled at Florida, he would not have been eligible at Georgia because he never enrolled at Florida, and he basically transferred from LSU to Georgia, and so he was eligible immediately. But Bradford enrolled at Oklahoma, he wouldn't be eligible this year unless if there's a loophole that I don't know about. I mean, maybe he is, but it's, I mean, he would either have had to not enroll at Oklahoma or because he was able to leave free and clear with COVID or whatever last year, this is his one-time transfer eligibility, which could be the case if that's how that worked. Nicholas Cantrell, morning Scone, you do a nightcap. Absolutely looking forward. It's football season. We're definitely doing it for football season. Matthew Pittman, 247. He's eligible this year. Counts toward the 85, not against the 25 for 2021. I just need clarification on that rule. So maybe Ed Ogeron on his teleconference this morning will give it. It's interesting why he'd be immediately eligible. The only thing I can think is that, because, again, had he not enrolled at Oklahoma, it would make sense. But if he enrolled at Oklahoma and is now transferring back, he should have to sit unless if it was because of COVID, he got like the one-time pass, and then the transfer rule passed where he can come back now. Oh, he didn't but it doesn't. It shouldn't matter if he didn't complete a certain number of practices. It's if you enroll. You know what I mean? Like if you are enrolled in school. Anyway, Eric Wildrider, morning Matt. Really enjoyed the new pod with T-Bob. Honestly, split on who to agree with on O, but great stuff. Sorry, Eric. I mean, I think both can make valid points. The point that I was making or have made even more so is which he threw a red herring to try to do the whole Larry Coker resume, and that's not the point. The point is if you're solely judging Ogeron based on 2019, if that's the trump card, well, that doesn't make him a great coach because plenty of bad coaches have won championships. That said, of course I would take all of the crap with Ogeron for 2019. It was magnificent. I also believe that if coaches like Les Miles and Ed Ogeron could win a national title at LSU, I think literally any coach could win a national title at LSU. I mean, Ogeron was 3-21 at Ole Miss. I mean, he was a unmitigated disaster there. There was no reason whatsoever to hire someone with such a miserable record at a place like LSU where you had won 2 national titles and played for a third. That was my point. Like, that was my point in 2016. It's still my point today. There was no reason for LSU to take that risk on that guy. And you could say, well, it paid off. And I would argue, okay, and 2019 was amazing, but it was an incredible set of circumstances that led to winning 2019, much of which had nothing to do with Ed Ogeron being great at what he does and more of it being just circumstance. And because of that, he'll never do it again. Because T-Bob's argument was that Ogeron built the program through 17, 18, 19. And if that's the case, then you would know how you built the program and be able to do it again. Look at Mac Brown, for example. You know, Mac Brown took over Texas. He built and built and built, finally broke through. They won the championship in 2005, and then they were back in the championship game 4 years later. He knew how to build it. Les, same thing. For all of his faults, got him in the championship game in 2007, had a little dip and built it back up in 2011 and got right back there. Like, he knew how to build a program. Ed doesn't know. Ed inherited Dave Aranda. He inherited Steve Ensminger. I mean, it's just, when he's had to go outside of the building to make his own hire, he's flopped every single time. Literally every single time. So I just don't believe he knows what he's doing. I don't think he'll get back there. Michael Kennedy, good morning. Dylan Horn. Sorry, I already read that one. Let's see, Matt Godwin, with Brennan being out, do you think they're somewhat scared to run with Max? Ed Ogeron was asked that yesterday. He said they're not going to run power, but they're not telling him, don't run. Kyle Caballero, did none of the staff notice the cushion that was given on receivers and play calls accordingly? You know, Kyle, the tough part is, man, when you can't protect your quarterback, it's hard to deliver the ball. Dylan Landry, Rashad Bolden, hey, Dad, good morning. Charlie, do you feel this coaching staff can right the ship? I do not. Stunning, right? I mean, there's nothing to suggest you will. You hire two coordinators who've never done their job before, and they got wholly out-coached on Saturday against UCLA, and you're going to face really good staffs and really good, talented teams. So, no, I don't. Marquise Robinson, top 3 candidates to replace I'd start with Lane Kiffin and Jimbo Fisher. I think Lane Kiffin's the best play caller in college football. Remember, Jimbo, it's something people forget oftentimes. Jimbo has no buyout. He has a massive deal he just extended and added money to, but he has no buyout. That was the deal Scott Woodward did with Jimmy Sexton when they got Jimbo over from Florida State. So that's not altogether completely out of the realm of possibility. I think you would at least make that call. Brian and Annie Penton, good morning. Kelly Presley, the Saints released Murray. They did. Latavius Murray no longer on the team. Bill Schmid, morning, Matt. Question for you. During the spring, the offense was explosive. There was none of that in the UCLA game. What do you think changed? I don't know that the offense was explosive, Bill. I think, especially during fall camp, we saw the defense dominated. And that's really concerning because the defense got dominated against UCLA. So perplexing from a school that has such a rich running back tradition. There's no premier back or tandem that can complement each other. Yep. Murray's absent. Champy Johnson, no one realized how drastic the defense changed when Ed changed from 3-4 to 4-3. Actually, no one realized how drastic it was when Dave Aranda left. I don't necessarily think it matters 3-4, 4-3. It's just how you want to use your defensive linemen and really what role you want your linebackers to play. But Dave Aranda was just brilliant at disguising blitzes and giving odd fronts, and you miss him. Andrew, I think LSU beats Kentucky or Ole Miss, but not both. I don't think they're winning in Oxford. They're not going to stop that team from scoring 50. And they can beat Kentucky, but I would not be surprised if Kentucky wins that game because Kentucky is a carbon copy of UCLA. Dustin Barzar. Let's see, you won the debate yesterday. T-Bob had no leg to stand on. O is trash and needs to be replaced now. It's going to happen. Bruce Shales. Maddie, what's up, man? Let's see, y'all need to start selling the hats in Knoxville. Perfect color. I'm sure they need new roofs up there. Jimbo Gravois, Scone and Tea is what Tiger Country needs. Listening last night was so entertaining. Thank you, Jimbo. So it'll drop on Tuesdays, which will be a recap of the weekend, and then Thursdays, which will be a preview of the weekend. So Tuesdays, Thursdays is our plan. Since Saban's been at Bama, all the coaching change that has been made, he never changed his defense. He's ran different fronts. Like when he was at LSU, they were a strict 4-3. I mean, you had bookends like Hill and Marquise Hill and Marcus Spears. Since he's been at Bama, he went 3-4. I mean, remember, he's had big dudes like Terrence Cody in the middle. I mean, Yes, he has. Chase Pellegrin, couldn't agree with you more on Ole Miss. If they have an average defense, they can be scary good. So do you think Aranda would have stayed if O wasn't an ego-driven a-hole? Yes. They did not get along. As an LSU fan, LSU fans annoy me. The blind fandom without any awareness of real life can be so frustrating. That's every fan base, though, Shelby. If we're being really, really honest, that's every fan base. Every fan base has that element. Let's see. You remind me of Bill O'Reilly. You speak your mind, people get butthurt. Yeah, Bill O'Reilly's just really rich, though. Salty Scone versus Raging Tea. Tony Williams, Richie Bird. If Bradford got kicked off the Oklahoma team, would that allow him to transfer immediately? Coach is pretty direct, saying they made a mistake bringing him on the team. I don't know what happened at Oklahoma, honestly. I mean, people have asked me that, and I don't. I do have some friends who cover Oklahoma I could ask, but I really don't know. I mean, once a player leaves LSU, I don't really follow him anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not covering that team. I don't cover Oklahoma. So, won a championship with Les Miles' framework in place. Won a championship with Joe Burrow. I mean, that's the thing that just can't be ignored. Like, without Joe Burrow, he's fired after 2018. Because without Joe Burrow, they're not beating Auburn. A lot of the close games they won that year, Mississippi State, even the Fiesta Bowl, they're not winning those games with sophomore Miles Brennan or Justin McMillan. It's wasn't going to go that way. So he likely would have had another 5-loss season and would have been fired. So there's a lot of other things, but really it's Burrow. But Matt, he's one of us. Hey, Dad. Let's see, was Brady O's only good hire? Have to think about it. I like Brad Davis, this current offensive line coach. I mean, it's an extremely small sample, but I do like that hire. No, I'll tell you who the other one I'll give you is Greg McMahon, special teams coordinator, has been awesome. Okay. Almost done here, y'all. I got to get rolling. Charlie, when do you pull the plug? Probably after the season. Boot up all LSU's basketball school. Paul Landry, how's it working with T-Bob? Seems to do well with film study. T-Bob, like, our personalities are very different. Our broadcast styles are obviously very different. Our opinions are very different, but that tends to make good radio. I mean, I'm not stupid. It's why we're doing the podcast. So, like, if you just have people that agree all the time, that's not interesting. What's interesting is when you can create debate or friction because you force people to pick a side. And I'm not talking about just like the feigned indignant stuff where you fake a point, so you take a side just to create controversy. That's what I'm talking about. But like, we legitimately are very different. And because we're very different, it gives listeners something different to consider when either of us is speaking, sort of thing. Need the shoot on AFR to get in for basketball season. Brian, I know what you meant, man. It's all good. Chris Maggio, what's up? Cale Reynolds, how much is Corey Raymond to blame for the way the DBs have looked the last 2 years? I think that's a fair question. I think the Bill Bush experiment did not go well. That's why Dave Aranda did not take him with him to Baylor. But I also think it's the DB's fault that they couldn't defend shallow cross. I mean, UCLA's wide receivers weren't out there making plays. All right, y'all, I got to get rolling here, man. All right. Did Russ take anything confetti home? Sorry, I got to run, y'all. If you're on YouTube, please smash the like button. Facebook, like the page, share the post. Locked on LSU coming up. AFR 3, and we will do Nightcap with Scone. So however you're watching right now, around 9 o'clock tonight, we'll be back for Nightcap, and I don't put a time limit on that, so we go as long as y'all have questions. I answer everybody's questions. So thank y'all, bajillion. Y'all have an awesome day. We'll see you. Peace.